Thanks for joining us today. One of the givens in our society these days is chances are you've either been laid off from your job or know someone that has been. And to that end, Community College of Vermont and the Vermont Department of Labor have joined forces on a brand new program to help people who are looking to get back into the workforce, but for one reason or another have hit a few stumbling blocks. We'd like to introduce a couple of people who've taken the course and also some representatives from the Department of Labor and Community College of Vermont. With us to my immediate left is Susan, who has just taken this career training class. To her left is Andrew Robinson, a career resource specialist with the State Department of Labor. To my right is Karen Clark from Community College of Vermont. And to her right is Michael, who has taken the course as well. Thank you all for joining us. I guess where I want to start off is, how did CCV and the state join forces on this sort of effort? Because over the years I've heard, well, this program or that program, this agency or that agency would offer some brush-up skills to get somebody back into the workforce. Where did the concentrated effort develop?
You want me? Yeah. Well, I think what happened was the governor had put together, set aside a grant, and through this grant, a way to, through some statistics and survey, finding out that our employers are looking for a specific type of employee, or they're lacking some skills, and predominantly what we talk about are the soft skills. And so a grant was put together, and the Department of Labor received the grant along with CCV to put this program together. CCV took that and put together the soft skills and the hard skills from there to help prepare our students, participants, to be job ready.
Tim, it's also based on a national program that's starting to get traction called Work Keys. And each one of these participants will come out with a certification in Work Keys, and it goes from a platinum down to a bronze, I believe. And what this signifies to the employer is that the potential employee has a skill level. And the idea is that ultimately this program is hopefully going to be done nationwide. There are presently 40 states involved with it at the present time, and the hope is to build it. Some of the bigger organizations or businesses in Vermont right now are using it on a regular basis as a screening training process. Green Mountain Coffee, the Vermont Country Store, and Energizer, are the battery folks, are three examples of folks that are using it as a measurement tool. And they're also using it as an in-house training too. So in the meantime, the Department of Labor and CCV teamed up together to start doing pilot programs in the local areas to have people get familiar with it and also to exercise it. It's a 10-week course, and it's a pretty fast course. I think the students will attest to that. And it's a sort of soup to nuts type of thing.
It's interesting. Well, there was a time that you got a job out of high school. You didn't go to college. You were in that job in one fashion or another until you retired. They gave you a gold watch. You walked away with a pension. That's not the case anymore. And for many people who are still catching up, to suddenly find yourself out of work and try to figure out how to get another job, that is one of the toughest things that they could ever come across.
And the playing field's changed immensely in terms of the way people apply for jobs, look for jobs, etc. A lot of it's gotten electronic, and there's a whole cast of folks that don't have any of those skills or
don't know how to navigate, how to go from that point and navigate how to apply for jobs, and they're competing. And also those skills that are missing that they didn't need up until this point in time. And so they're finding a whole different world of employment opportunities and feeling that they may not be a part of it.
I almost feel like I myself ought to go through a few courses. I consider myself fairly consumer savvy, fairly computer savvy, but put me in front of Excel and I'd be lost, for instance.
And that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon. And yet employers are expecting you to be at least some idea or proficient in those skills.
Now, I want to transfer the focus a little bit over to Susan and Michael. As much as you want to say, because after all, you have the right to your own privacy, but I'm tickled pink that you've come and decided to share your stories. You both took the course. Where did you both come from in terms of your own place within the workforce and wanting to get back in?
Well, I'll start, Tim. Thanks. I was employed for years as a graphic designer, and I loved my work. But when I had my daughter, I found it a struggle to have my own business. And I'd had an office downtown in San Francisco, which I loved, and I decided to move back temporarily. And the moving out of the office and back into the home, it never came back for me. So I started taking part-time jobs because I then moved to Denver and I couldn't network in the way that I used to network in San Francisco. So then these jobs became, they're very minor little jobs, and I wasn't making anything like the kind of money I was making in San Francisco, that's for sure. So then I moved again, and it got even worse because I moved to Switzerland, where I wasn't allowed to work for 5 years because of a permit issue. Then once I could start working, I had to stay at home because there's no infrastructure there the way there is here, so that the kids come home for lunch. So there was 11 or 12 years worth of sitting at home, basically. Although I ran a big program for kids, it was still as a volunteer program. Coming back to the States, I didn't really have any skills anymore in terms of graphic design. That's finished. It was so long ago, and I had great computer skills at the time. They're gone. Virtually. Now I feel more confident again because I've gotten Excel, I've gotten some PowerPoint back, and I write a lot, so writing was never an issue. Basic math was kind of an issue for me, so I'm starting to take some classes in that through the Vermont Adult Learning Center. So I just feel completely overhauled, basically.
Wow. Well, Michael, what about you? At what point did you enter this program, and where are you now?
Okay, well, I'm going to start to say first I was one of those fortunate ones. I did work for a company that had a very nice pension, worked for the post office for 37.5 years. I was in another state, and my wife loves Vermont. We built a house. We were separated for a few years. I come up on vacation all the time. They offered me an early retirement, and I jumped out and came up. And this is the most beautiful place I've been in my life. And the state is very accommodating to everyone. When I got up, I realized retirement wasn't something I could do very well, and started looking around for a job. And I've always been a pretty good employee, dedicated, and it was winter, I guess. I'm finding out now because nothing really happened. And when I was checking out the want ads, there was the course from the college, and actually with Andy in the college. And I signed up, and it was a good experience. It was fun, taught me some different skills, met a lot of interesting people. And in the process, well, I actually went on 3 different interviews, and I had my choice of 3 different jobs. But what's good about the program, it built a lot of confidence in people. And I haven't been in a classroom in like about 40 years. And it felt good. I'm not sure if I might even go back for more classes. But it was a very pleasant experience. All our students there, we became a good unit. And everybody seemed to help each other too, which was nice. And then the skills that I guess we're the older workforce, we have pretty good job skills. We show up every day and we work pretty hard. So it's something I think that everybody realized in our group. And it was pleasant.
Nice. It's refreshing to hear that we never stop learning, because if we even slow down, we may be left behind. That's just the reality of things. That, gosh, past 15 years, the computer age has overtaken almost everybody.
One of the things I think was interesting about this group, we started off with 16 and we lost 1, but then everybody else was there for the duration. And it was a very interesting cross-section of people. Some people had master's degrees, some had barely made it out of high school, if that. So part of the process is we evaluate these folks before they're offered a slot, just to make sure it's successful for them in their undertaking. And it was just amazing, some of the breakthroughs that happened. There was one person that, I will say anecdotally, that came in, and she was very dead set against getting up and doing any presentations. She told her instructor, "I don't do presentations." Well, within 3 weeks, she was up doing a PowerPoint presentation in front of the rest of the class. So it was pretty amazing.
Is this where I announce I don't do interviews?
Hmm?
No, sorry.
Wow. So take me through the course. So where do you start, and what direction do you go in?
Well, initially, it's definitely get in contact with Andy to start the actual process itself, but we are actually having some open houses. Anybody is welcome to just information, opportunity maybe even to sign up and interview with Andy. And then we have the infamous, as everyone talks about in the area, is assessments. And those assessments are just to get an idea of where you are academically. Has nothing really to do with the application process. It just kind of gives us what you're going to need to work on when you're in the program. And then once the selection's made, they'll start classes, which is twice a week, and they do some applied math. They're learning how to research information, how to analyze information, and then also going into, as I mentioned earlier, soft skills. How to communicate, how to get along with your coworker. If things aren't going well, how to express that in the most positive way. And this is, things that employers have asked for. And then also definitely improving computer skills so that you are a marketable person. But the other part I think that Susan and I were talking about earlier is the networking. You do make classmates become a network, and you find out what other resources are in there, and the confidence building, which is a major piece. That some people, they may feel that they're going nowhere, or they've had different type of issues of why they haven't been in the employment field, or why things are just getting in their way, and they have an opportunity to find out why.
So do you go through things even as basic as maybe the resume or even interviewing skills?
Big part of the course is the resume and interview skills, yes.
What makes a good resume?
Well, they actually go through a whole bunch of different things. Mine unfortunately was revamped a few times. I think my next position I'll apply for is at IBM. But no, I'm sorry, it was just a little joke about it.
That's okay.
But the resume has to be done a certain way, and they teach us how to make it very well. And the idea of the resume is to get you the interview. And of course, then we did a whole bunch of stuff on the interview. And it is helpful, because some people are very tense and nervous about going on interviews. They're worried about how to handle themselves. And I just told them, just relax, be yourself, and don't worry about the questions. Just listen to them and give a good answer that makes you look good. And that's pretty much what they were teaching us.
Yeah, I felt the same way. There were so many, I agree with you 100%. There were so many aspects of the course that were valuable, but I have to say the role-playing of the interviews was fantastic. There was we had a class, but there was an awful lot of individual attention that was paid to us by the teachers, and one of the pieces of that was an actual process of an interview where we would come in with our materials exactly ready. We couldn't just come in with corrections or anything. It had to be exact, and we were interviewing. It gave us feedback on the interview, and that was fantastic. So we got quite a lot of individual attention. But that's been a problem for me since I've gotten a little older, is that I've lost some confidence. And I think it's been because I've been alone for so long with children at home and not being out with adults as much as I would like. And I think a lot of the women, at least in the class, felt the same way I did. Some of them were on the verge of agoraphobia, apparently, and I have had some anxiety too, so I was really pleased to get that experience.
And how important is that experience to a potential employer? I mean, guys, what are employers looking for these days?
Well, they're looking for folks that are can think on their feet, that are perhaps good at multitasking. I mean, I think with all of the downsizing that's occurred, the people that make a difference in an organization are those that can not only do what they can do, but also pitch in other spots too. And so it's a way, when I go out and talk to the employers, both in this area and up in the Springfield area, they're looking for a sort of a multi-talented jack of all trades type of person, in addition to having that one special niche that they want the person for, you know. So it's interesting, you know. Maybe it's a little pie in the sky, but you know, that's the reality that
Well, I think
everybody's
the other
looking
thing
for.
that they're looking for is team building, being able to be cooperative with coworkers, with your boss, with subordinates, that there is an open communication and a comfort level. So through the team building, and I think part of this program was to help these students build teams and learn how to navigate someone that you may not get along with or agree with, but you still are going to work with them. And I think this group did a great job because they had 2 major presentations at the end of their class, and they had to get together as a team and present their presentation, and they did an awesome job.
The other interesting piece too is that we also tried to structure it almost as if it was a job, so there were no cuts allowed. You were expected to be there on time, ready to go, and continue right on through as if it was a job. You'd have to show up every day.
You know, from a workplace standpoint, that is a major issue in many companies.
It is.
People actually getting to work on time, and you'd think that would be one of the most basic things you'd have.
Right. It's been an issue in the last few years, to be sure, and one that we hope we can contribute to changing. You know.
Well, I think that's what makes this program such a positive situation. We're working with those hard skills, the math, the writing, reading, and interpreting information and being able to feed back to it. But it's those, as I said earlier, again, I come back to those soft skills, which is the communication. So for a student to be successful in this whole career readiness program, they have to have good attendance. They have to be on time. They have to follow through with their assignments in a timely manner. They have to work together. So it's a 2-part program. One, they can get certificates, as Andy originally had mentioned, through the Work Keys program. And then the other is the CCV certificate, which they have to do well on the Work Keys, but then also be successful in the second half.
You know, it's amazing. A lot of us do a lot of work online, but still the most important skill is being able to interpret information and express it either verbally or in writing, or both, to coworkers, to prospective clients, to people in the community, instead of going away from the old-fashioned skills, we're going to the more.
The one nice thing about this program right now, however, it is a free program to anybody who qualifies.
Write that down. You said
Free.
free.
It's free.
All right.
It's 100% paid for by the state. You do have to qualify to get in. You are given a group interview, and then your assessment's done at CCV. The idea, we want to make sure the folks we do put into it are going to be successful. And if we find somebody who's not quite up to speed yet, we encourage them to go down to Vermont Adult Education and enhance those skills that they need some work on, and then to reapply. So,
You know, that's a great point, because there are places in the community to even brush up some of those basic skills, like Vermont Adult Learning.
Yeah.
right. So it's really exciting.
So
Yeah.
are you getting ready for another class?
Yes, we are.
We're getting
Son of a
excited.
gun.
It's fun, though.
We're going to have 2 open houses coming up. This is for anybody that's interested in finding more about the program. It will also offer the folks that do find that they want to keep moving in the process to sign up for a interview that they will have to partake in at the Department of Labor. And that's done in a group setting, so it's not totally a freak out. It's not a one-on-one. And then Karen does some assessment skills with them after that. Then we get together, the coordinating group gets together and reviews the applicants, and then we make offers to them.
The big piece also for a lot of people is, can they make the commitment for that time frame? Often people have other obligations, and so that's part of the reviewing process for us, is that they're going to be able to commit. Like any job, you're going to have to commit yourself to a job, so at this point we also expect the same thing.
Well, it makes sense, and especially if you want to move forward, the first step really has to be getting yourself ready to make that next step.
Right.
And it also opens opportunities for those students that do complete the program to look at even coming to CCV and take college level classes. For those that have fulfilled all of the requirements and have hit a specific level in the work keys as well as in the other part, the CCV skills, they can put together a portfolio and apply for college credit, and it has to be reviewed. So it's for some to come back to college, those that need to brush up there, and also those that might want to start.
It's interesting, when I met with the class just before they finished, everybody was going, "Oh, is there more we can do?" And of course there's always more. But one of the things that I tried to explain to them in the process of how the Department of Labor was looking at it also, it is sort of like a work thing, a work environment issue. It's fast, furious, you learn a lot, you take in a lot, and then there's a sort of steeping time, but it does also end like projects and work, and where you go from there. We offer folks the opportunity to come back and work with the workforce counselors at the Department of Labor, and hopefully they've also learned some other skills in researching other opportunities for themselves too. But the idea is you get the ball moving and you keep them moving.
I would recommend anybody that's looking to go back into the workforce to take the program. It was very informative. A lot of the things right now are online. Like most of the job interviews and stuff are online. You fill out paperwork or online survey, and they call you up, give you a basic phone interview, and that's a good place to learn the skills, is at the program.
And as you mentioned a minute ago about this etiquette now has changed because of the internet. And what we learned quite a lot actually about the etiquette of email, which I thought I was pretty familiar with, having used it since it started, but she really brought us back to the basics, and I greatly appreciate that.
Even something as simple as capital letters means you're yelling.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So where are you now in terms of your own development? Where you want to be? Are you heading in that direction, and have you gotten there yet?
I'm just debating, because of the way things are with my children right now, whether I want to go back to school to be a teacher or not. I'd really just need maybe a year's worth of more education to get my teaching certificate, but it's a big commitment financially, so I'm waiting to see how that works. But in the meantime, I really am looking for a fuller part-time job as a teacher's assistant, just so I can feel that out. Otherwise, I'm going to start taking classes in web design, because that's something that would be completely familiar to me. And I think I can do that locally too, and actually that might actually be a very good thing for me to do.
Sounds like a fire has been lit.
Oh, it has. And I am so grateful, I can't tell you. No, I loved it.
Great.
It was a great challenge.
Well, nothing worth it comes easy, does it?
No.
What about you, Michael?
Like I said, during the class, I went on 3 job interviews, and I got my choice of the 3. I think I made the right choice. I'm working a part-time job at the Latches Hotel and Movie Theater, which is a very unique place. I kind of love it. It's being new to Vermont. I feel like I have all the history I need right there in the hotel. Wonderful people working there. I'm getting used to the small town community, I guess. Everybody seems to know everybody, which is nice, and they're accepting. And yeah, no, it's really beautiful. I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to school, Right now, I do have some stuff around my house I have to do. Once I get that addressed, I'll probably maybe continue, go take some more classes. But I do recommend the program for anyone that has any doubt at all, or whatever. It's a great confidence builder. Truly wonderful students, teachers. Pretty much the college was wonderful. And I think my biggest thing is I haven't been in the classroom for so many years, and I feel very comfortable going back. So that's again something people might want to. I would recommend anybody that wants to look into a career enhancement, come join for the class, and then you'll have a good time.
Well, you've got me fired up about wanting to take another couple of computer courses or something.
We touched on all that very much.
Yeah.
Great. So again, how can people find out about the course and have the initial interview?
Ultimately, we're going to be moving folks towards going to the open house to really hear about the whole thing and then decide, do they want to sign up or not? And again, it's a no-charge situation, so it's a good opportunity to put yourself out there. As Karen said, there is a time commitment, and it's a big one, and we expect people to, and hope people who sign up do stick with it. And like I said, we had, of the 16 people that were offered spots, only one had to drop out, and that was for a family situation. And it was, knowing the way groups run, I was pleasantly surprised that the group not only held together, but really gelled in a fantastic sort of
We all
way.
looked out for each other. It was really good.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
all of you are to be congratulated, and thank you for sharing your time with us.
and
Really
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank
So,
you.
you're very welcome. So, ready, set, learn. This is Tim Johnson. Thanks for watching.